Hey, future homeowners, I'm Johnny. This is Chris at Rise Real Estate Los Angeles. Today we are talking about a really Googled question, which is how do real estate agents actually get paid?
We don't. I'm starving. Please send help and money and food and other things that would provide wealth. But let's find out.
I'm doing fine. So first and foremost, we are talking about the core currency of real estate agents, which is commission. So whenever a home is bought or sold that real estate agent is working on, they get a small percentage of that home sale.
And in today's market, the average commission typically on a home is between 5 and 6%, depending on a myriad of factors. So for example, on a home of say $500,000, a 6% commission is $30,000. But what you have to understand is that $30,000 often is getting split between many things. So your agent might not be taking home all of that or even half of that, depending on how it's structured.
Now, here's an important distinction. There's the buyer's agent who represents the buyer and the seller's agent who represents the seller. Now, depending on a few factors, it's split based on who represents who in the deal.
So for instance, in our previous example of $500,000 at 6% is $30,000. If I'm listing a home, I'm the selling agent or I'm selling the home, and Johnny is representing the buyer, so he's the buyer's agent, we would take that $30,000 and often, not always, but often you'll see it split in half, right? So he'd get 15, I'd get 15, or 3% and 3%. This percentage that is being offered to the buy side is normally advertised, and so you normally know what percentage both sides are getting, but it's not just one side taking all of it, it's split between the agents. And then from there, there's actually more splits.
So for example, if again, I'm the buyer's agent in this situation and my commission is the $15,000, depending on the brokerage split, which we'll get to more here in a moment, they may take 20 or 30 or 40%, maybe more, depending on the brokerage. Each one is going to be a little bit different, which is actually why we like working with the real brokerage, because it's way lower than everybody else.
Which is important because the amount the brokerage is taking can actually push up the price and the cost of selling your home. Because if they're taking a lot, guess who needs more? The agent. So guess what happens? You, the buyer or seller, end up paying more. Normally the seller, but sometimes the buyer, pay more because the brokerage is taking a higher fee.
So let's peel back another layer. So let's talk about brokerages. So every agent has to have a brokerage that they work with. It's kind of like working under a company, and it's the fee that you pay in order to have that support system. Maybe an office space, maybe marketing materials, but really just to be able to legally do the job.
Right, so brokerages, depending on their model, will provide, like you said, office space, training, those kinds of things. And some brokerages, like the one we're with, don't do as much of that because we have a team and our team does that for us. So instead of the brokerage taking that, we went with a brokerage that has less and we don't give them as much, and then our team does that.
Yeah, and I think something, a little bit of a caveat to that is each brokerage has a different model of how they take fees, but a lot of the typical brick and mortar brokerages have higher fees because they're paying for that office space. So if you are an agent that maybe works at home or you use a home office, it doesn't really make sense for you to pay for those office spaces that you're never going to use. Now, some people, it totally makes sense and that's going to be the best path for them, and that's okay. But it's important if you're an agent or thinking about it, or maybe you just want to know how it all works, that each one's going to be a little bit different. So now let's spice things up a little bit. There are also different ways that agents can be paid, things like bonuses and incentives. So again, we're with the real brokerage, and one of the things that they do that I love is they offer stock to their agents. So if you're doing well and you hit your cap, you get some stock. Or if you take a class, you get some stock. Things like that that can make you be excited about being a part of that company. And as the company does well, you get paid. Now let's talk about some, let's say, niche paths of revenue, which would be flat fees and services. Now I would say these are not typical, but sometimes an agent might charge a consultation fee if you're using their services, but maybe you're not listing with them. Now, these are going to, again, be case-by-case basis, but it's definitely worth a conversation. We don't do that. We do just free consultations, but I'm sure there are agents out there who do okay with that.
It's like customizing your experience. Some agents would set up on a model that's more pay as you go and use a certain fees, but there are certain services, but they're not going to provide everything. Whereas what you typically see is more full shop agents, right? That's what we would consider ourselves, where you pay a certain percentage, normally around 2.5%, and we do everything from the photos and the marketing and all of that kind of thing, full service. Some agents don't. They call themselves discount agents, and they advertise as doing it for less, but obviously you get discount service. Now, some people are okay with that, and that's okay. It's a model. It's just depending on what model works best for you in your scenario.
Yeah, and for a lot of agents, they don't make money until they close the deal. So until they sell your home or until they help you buy the home. So that's important. If you're thinking about starting out as an agent, that's something to keep in mind. Or if you're working with a real estate agent, that's also something to keep in mind, that they're motivated to help you close. Now, other things to think about are the agent's business expenses, like marketing, transportation, if they're running ads, anything. Those things come out of the agent's pockets and their business expenses.
Yeah, so all these things considered, it's something you need to figure out what fits best for you in your scenario. Or if you're interested in becoming an agent, or you are an agent looking around, if you want more information or you just want some guidance on what's best for you, feel free to DM us. We're always willing to talk to people and just give our advice. Obviously, we're just one opinion, but we see a lot of different agents and a lot of different models, and every model's fit for someone different. And maybe that's you.
Now, those are lots of different ways that an agent can make money, but one of the other things that you can do besides paying an agent, if you want to help, is like, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell.
That's right.
I'm Johnny, this is Chris, and this is Rise Real Estate Los Angeles. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Or you'll see us. We can't see you, I promise.